ఆన్ చేసావా? Namaskar. I hope you are all doing well, fighting with your asura, day by day enriching yourself with the beautiful, grandest spiritual knowledge, shifting your gears from existing consciousness to higher consciousness. And day by day, the grandest truth should occupy your neurological brain. In the initial days, it may start like a seed, but gradually the seed of truth should transform into a mighty tree. I hope you're all flourishing spiritually. I hope you're shifting your gears from the existing consciousness to higher consciousness. I hope you're giving topmost priority to inculcation of knowledge. I hope you're not dancing as per the tune of your asura. You're not dancing as per the tune of your asura. I hope the knowledge uttered by me, like Chailajina, it is safeguarding you. It is acting like a shield and preventing the contaminations of the physicality, the contaminations from the materialistic world. My dear aspirants, just analyze your life. If your brain is not enriched with knowledge and truth, just analyze your life, analyze your thinking pattern, analyze your priorities when the truth is inculcated into your brain. See, there is a vast difference. There is a remarkable difference. Earlier, we used to have most unceremonious thinking pattern. Now, we are most ceremonious. Now we are enriched with most ceremonious thinking pattern. There is a remarkable change in our priorities. For example, when the truth is not nurtured into our brain, from our point of view, love is that which happens between character to character. Love is, if you are not at all matured, love will be misunderstood as if a transaction between opposite genders. If you are not at all matured, you will be limited to understand that as if love happens between opposite genders. But if you are a little bit matured, you might think that love happens between father, daughter, mother, family members. Fine, that is okay. But when the truth is nurtured into our brain, now we are able to understand the true meaning, the insight of love. Now we have understood love, unless you do not know the truth, unless you know the truth, you cannot even talk of love. You cannot even speak a single word about love. See, a love between character to character is not truth. If you happen to go to a movie, in that movie there are two characters playing their roles. The love and affection which is happening between character to character is not really real, no? In the same way, when you know the truth, when the true I am is being launched, when the true I am is being launched, then the love happens. Love is between truth to truth. Love is between God to God. Love is between soul to soul. Love is between spirit to spirit. Love is the cosmic glue that holds everything together. It is the greatest teaching taught by Ram. Love is the cosmic glue that holds everything together. How? Why? Because I'm a masculine gender. Right now I am embodied into a masculine gender. Now you might be in the feminine gender. You might belong to a different country. I might belong to a different country. There may not be any resemblances between you and me. Appearance wise, thinking pattern wise, priorities wise, age wise. But if we go deeper and analyze our roots, and if we could know the truth, it is only one Omkaram has transformed into different forms. So if we analyze, dig, and analyze our roots, we are one Omkaram only. Okay? So when you know the truth, then you will understand that I am the Omkaram. That entity is also Omkaram. Then the love happens. Love cannot be between two non-existing things. असत और असत के बीच में प्यार होने का सवाल ही नहीं है. असत और love cannot be there within the two chairs. Love cannot be between two non-existing things. There cannot be any love between costumes. So love is between existing things, that which is very much alive. सत और सत के बीच में ही प्यार होता है. So when you realize the truth, naturally a fragrance happens within you. A grandest dimension happens within you. In everything, you will be seeing the divinity. The origin of every object in this world is that Omkaram. So, viewing the life from the truth is called as love. Not considering one's appearance, one's nature, but considering everyone as God is love. Love is not compromising our choice. Love is not compelling others to sacrifice their choice. Love is not compelling others to sacrifice their choice. At the same time, love is not sacrificing my choice. Love is something grander. Love is celebrate your choice and allow others to celebrate their choice. Love is to allow others to enjoy their own priorities, their own life. It's called as love. So, with this invocation, I invite each and every sincere aspirant for this today's beautiful spiritual discourse. Yes, you're welcome. For the last few days, I have been teaching you the crux and the nucleus of Karma Yoga. Yesterday, Arjuna, the seeker, wants a clarification, has requested his guru to clarify one aspect. What was the question posed by Arjuna yesterday? Can you? Yesterday Arjuna he raised a question. He wanted a clarification from his master teacher. What was the question?
The question raised by Arjuna is, what is the inherent force that is influencing and compelling the human being, enticing him to do the sinful acts though his nature is not in favor of committing sinful acts.
The question raised by Arjuna, chapter number 3, verse number 36. The question raised by Arjuna is, what exactly is the inherent force that is influencing and compelling the human being, enticing human being to do the sinful acts, though his nature is against committing the sinful acts. Though his nature is against committing the sinful acts. Who the bloody hell is the villainary? Who is inherent within the human being and compelling the human being to act against his passion. What exactly is the villainary aspect? That is why I told you something about love. In this there is no love, no. It is lust. So what is the question raised by Arjuna? Arjuna has asked a beautiful question. He needs a clarification. He has just, the doubt raised by Arjuna is, there is an inherent faculty which has occupied the human being and compelling the human being to do all the type of sinful acts, though his very nature is against committing the sinful acts. That was the question. In the simple sense, who the bloody hell is the villainary aspect which is very much within us? That's it. And the answer is, the reply of Lord Sri Krishna is
337. The reply of Lord Sri Krishna is, the source of lust is Rajogun. Rajogun is the tendency of the human embodiment. The nature of Rajogun is giving unwanted priority to the incidents happening in the physical world and emotionally connecting with the physicality. The lust in turn transforms into poisonous anger, wrath. The intensity of this wrath is so high that it never gets satisfied. Even the entire wealth and comforts and enjoyment of the physical world will also be failure to satisfy the lust, wrath. This is the faculty which provokes and entices to do all the sinful acts. That is why it is the worst enemy for our spiritual growth.
Can you?
.337. The reply of Lord Sri Krishna is, the source of lust is Rajogun. Rajogun is the tendency of human embodiment. The nature of Rajogun is giving unwanted priority to the incidents happening in the physical world and emotionally connecting with the physicality. The lust in turn transforms into poisonous anger, wrath. The intensity of this wrath is so high that it never gets satisfied. Even the entire wealth and comforts and enjoyment of the physical world will also be a failure to satisfy the lust, wrath. This is the faculty which provokes and entices to do all the sinful acts. That is why it is the worst enemy for our spiritual growth.
Yes. The reply of Lord Sri Krishna is, the source of lust is Rajogun. Rajogun is the tendency of human embodiment. The nature of Rajogun is giving unwanted priority to the incidents happening in the physical world and emotionally connecting with the physicality. The lust in turn transforms into poisonous anger, the so-called wrath. The intensity of wrath is so high that it never gets satisfied. Even the entire wealth, entire comforts, entire enjoyment of the physical world will be a miserable failure in satisfying the lust, the so-called wrath. This particular faculty, the so-called Rajogun, the so-called lust, the so-called anger and wrath, all put together, this faculty, all put together are under one umbrella, the faculty. What? The so-called Rajogun, the so-called lust, the so-called anger and wrath, relentlessness, crazy towards, restlessness, crazy towards the physicality. All put together, that let us call that as a faculty. And this faculty, which provokes and entices to do all the sinful acts in this universe, that is why it is the worst enemy for our spiritual enlightenment. That's it. So, the villainary aspect is ignorance. I tell you, let me explain this like this. The villainary aspect is ignorance. Sir, ignorance is not at all visible there. How come you are talking about ignorance? But still, my dear aspirants, supposing, for example, you take two businessmen sailing in the same boat, doing the same businesses, they are in the same field. Okay. Both are sufficiently rich. Okay. Both are facing a similar problem. Okay. Supposing A is enriched with truth and B is not enriched with truth. Both were facing the same problem. The scenario is same. But A doesn't respond. The response and the behavior of A will be quite opposite to B. Because an ignorant being, what exactly is ignorance? He may be well versed being in the physical laws, and he may be well versed being in the physical education, technical education, language wise, well dressed, financially rich, a good investor, maybe everything fine. Ignorance in the sense, is yet to know the truth, is yet to know the knowledge, is yet to have an introspection, is still searching for God outside. He doesn't know what exactly is meant by soul and what exactly is meant by spirit. He doesn't even know that he is an entity who belongs to ages, and it is he has created this universe. He doesn't know that he was there in existence from since. He was just misunderstanding that as if the embodiment is his original nature. He has begun to identify himself with the embodiment he is wearing. This is the mark of his ignorance. Okay, he identifies himself with the embodiment. He gives topmost priority to his caste. He gives topmost priority to the physical richness. This is all the tendencies of ignorance, symptoms of the disease called ignorance. So because of this ignorance, he is acting as per the tune of Rajogun. Even for an enlightened being, the Rajogun will be there. But he will not care for Rajogun. He will not dance as per the tune of Rajogun. He will not act as per the direction of Rajogun. Fine. Let us come to this present topic. Because of ignorance, he has begun to give unwanted priority to Rajogun. He has begun to dance as per the tune of Rajogun. So, the villainary aspect is Rajogun. What exactly is Rajogun? Rajogun means when the mental response to the physicality. Mental response to the physicality. Suppose someone has blamed me, he has not physically touched me, but someone has blamed me. Nothing, no harm has happened to me, but still in our inner we respond. We cry, we get irritated. That can be called as Rajogun. That is why I have explained what exactly is Rajogun. The source of Rajogun is embodiment. Ignorance, yes, ignorance. Ignorance is anyhow it is there. Yes, what I mean to tell you is when the soul or the consciousness or the light being or the spirit, when it entered into the premises of embodiment, then for the first time it was being attacked by the Rajogun. Am I clear? And an ignorant being gives topmost priority to Rajogun. Even for an enlightened being, the Rajogun and the temptations from the Rajogun are there. Okay. So, the lust, the source of lust is Rajogun. The grandest master teacher, Lord Sri Krishna, says the villainary aspect is lust. Lust is not a chemical sexual desire. Lust is not desire. Lust is unwanted craziness towards physicality. Lust is, supposing if I feel hungry, I want to eat something. It is not lust. Desire is different, lust is different. The emotional sexual desire is different, lust is different. Here in this context, lust means trying to satisfy our thirstiness from the mirages can be called as lust. If you are feeling thirsty, the mirages cannot satisfy, no? So when someone is expecting the joy from the physicality, lust. Unwanted craziness towards physicality. Misunderstanding that as if in this physical world there is a salvation for every problem in the physical world. Lust. And lust is a craziness towards physicality. Lord Sri Krishna says the source of lust is Rajogun. Okay? What exactly is Rajogun? Rajogun is the tendency of human embodiment. The nature of Rajogun is giving unwanted priority to the incidents happening in the physical world and emotionally connecting to the physicality. See, supposing an untoward incident has happened in your life, suppose an untoward event may happen in your life. Fine. There is nothing wrong, you respond to it. But getting seriously influenced by it, it's Rajogun. Okay. The nature of Rajogun is giving unwanted priority to the incidents happening in the physical world and emotionally connecting with the physicality. The lust in turn transforms into poisonous anger, wrath. So I have given a table. Embodiment gives birth to Rajogun. Rajogun gives birth to lust. Lust transforms itself into wrath. And wrath and all put together, this faculty is called as enemy. So all the lust is not our enemy. The lust from Rajogun itself is the lust which is from Rajogun is only our enemy. That's it. This is the faculty which provokes and entices to do all the sinful acts. That is why it is the worst enemy for our spiritual growth. That is what we are talking before committing this class also. Tons of money, never they are going to give you joy and bliss. The physicality is not entitled to give you the joy. How can the mirages satisfy your hunger, your thirst? Kada? The table is like this. Embodiment in turn gives birth to Rajogun. Rajogun in turn gives birth to lust. This lust in turn gives birth to wrath, the so-called angry, and that becomes enemy. And this is the thing. So my dear friends, what is the villainary aspect? The villainary aspect is lust. What is the source of lust? Rajogun. What is from where we have come across the Rajogun? We were not knowing the Rajogun. The moment we entered into the premises of embodiment, the most unenlightened tendency has attacked us. That is Rajogun. What is the nature of Rajogun? Giving unwanted priority to the incidents, persons we meet in the physical world. And the more and more ignorant being you are, Tattvajnana Sunyata hi ignorance. The more and more ignorant you are, you will tune as per the dance of Rajogun. And finally, the lust transforms into wrath or anger. And he says the intensity of this wrath is so high that it never gets satisfied. That it never ever gets satisfied. Even the whole tons, even the entire money of in the physical world, entire comforts in this physical world, all the luxuries in the physical world cannot satisfy that lust. They all will be a miserable failure in satisfying the lust. So, the villainary aspect is this. The villainary aspect is this. That is why it is called as Ari, Asura. So, with this explanation, let us shift our gears to sloka number 38. Yes. Yes.
(338) धूमेना व्रियतो वह्निः यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. As fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, or as the womb is covered by embryo, the impregnated divine knowledge is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
Okay. As fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, as the womb is covered by embryo, the impregnated divine knowledge is similarly covered by the different degrees of this lust. You can only see smoke, but you cannot see fire. Because smoke has become like a veil. It has covered, musuk, veil. V-E-I-L, not W-H-E-L. In the same way, the mirror is there, the performance of mirror is also great, but it is unable to reflect because it is being loaded by dust. You are only able to see the dust, but never able to see the mirror and your reflection. So, but mirror is there. That is why the dust is able to occupy that mirror. If mirror is not there, the dust cannot be accumulated. Because there is a mirror, that is why the dust is able to accumulate there. Because there is fire, the smoke has happened and the smoke covered. And one more example is womb is covered by embryo. See, I am not technically expert to explain that, but I am able to understand the remaining two meanings. We will be able to see only the smoke, but never the fire, because fire is covered by smoke. In the same way, the grandest beautiful mirror which can reflect our Swarup is being covered by dust. In the same way, womb is covered by embryo. In the same way, knowledge. Which knowledge? Divine knowledge. We are all impregnated with that divine knowledge. Knowledge is there, consciousness is there within every human being. Knowledge is there, consciousness is within every human being. But unfortunately, this is being covered by the degrees of lust. This is being covered by the lust. Degrees of lust, layers. Here, to my aspirants, I am categorically making it very clear. You may belong to outcast. I don't bother you belong to which caste. I don't bother you belong to which gender. I don't care for your financial richness. I don't care your nature, your attitude, your priorities, however ignorant you may be. But here Lord Sri Krishna has categorically made it very clear, every human being is impregnated with divine knowledge. Every Every human being, not taking into consideration his caste, religion, country, creed, his nature, but everybody, we are impregnated with some beautiful thing, knowledge. Because we are gods. From what is the source of knowledge? Because we are gods, our original consciousness, the so-called grandest knowledge, is with us. Am I clear? If you are not God, you will not have knowledge. This simple sentence proves that everybody on this earth planet is God. It is the God that has entered into the embodiment. God and knowledge cannot be separated. Along with the God, the knowledge has also entered into the premises. So this sloka categorically makes it very clear that we are all gods. We are all, our innate consciousness itself is knowledge. Every human being is enriched with knowledge. Janmataha, endowed with knowledge. We are endowed with knowledge. But unfortunately, we are unable to utilize that impregnated divine knowledge because of lust has veiled that knowledge. It's covered by that lust. Knowledge is being covered by that lust. So, here you should understand that everybody on this earth planet, not taking into consideration about their caste, creed, religion, everything, throw them into the dust particles. Every human being, maybe he's caste or outcast, I don't bother. But everyone on this earth planet, we are all gods. We are enriched with grandest knowledge. Knowledge is our innate consciousness. All the thing you have got to do is just clean the lust. How do you do it? By learning the knowledge. Shift your gears from the ignorance to the enlightenment. That's it. That's it. Okay. With this explanation, let us shift our gears and to sloka number 40. Yes? 39.
Three 39. Avrutam jnaname tena jnanino nichya vairina kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nanena cha.
39.
The nature of lust can be compared with the nature of fire. The so-called lust never gets satisfied. That is why this lust is always an enemy for a seeker who wishes to get enlightenment through inculcation of knowledge. This lust always covers the inherent spiritual knowledge.
So lust is always a hindrance. Can you?
(339) The nature of lust can be compared with the nature of fire. The so-called lust never gets satisfied. That is why this lust is always an enemy for a seeker who wishes to get enlightenment through inculcation of knowledge. This lust always covers the inherent spiritual knowledge.
The nature of lust can be compared with the nature of fire. The so-called lust never gets satisfied like fire. Dhavanam bolte hain hum. Dhawan. It happens in the dense forest. Even all the trees of the forest, they are into ashes, but still the fire is not satisfied. The fire is on. He has compared the nature of lust with the nature of fire. Fire destroyed entire city, but still it wants some more. Same way. So the nature of lust has been compared with the nature of fire. The nature of lust can be compared with the nature of fire. the so-called lust never gets satisfied. In the same way, the fire never gets satisfied. In the same way, the lust, what exactly is lust? Lust is believing the myth as truth. As I already made it very clear, lust is trying to satisfy your thirst with mirages. The nature of lust can be compared with the nature of fire. So-called lust never gets satisfied. That is why the lust is always an enemy for a seeker who wishes to get enlightenment through inculcation of knowledge. A person who is doing practice, the practice will also be the part and parcel of lust. The ritualistic practices, many times they are part and parcel of lust. Many times, my dear aspirants, believe me, all the ritualistic practices, they are the product of lust. I said the degrees of lust now, in a different form. So, for them it is okay, but for an sincere aspirant who want to evolve by enriching knowledge, Vedic path में जो प्रयास कर रहा है, उसको लस्ट ही शत्रु समान है, लस्ट ही शत्रु समान है. The lust always covers the ignorance, because why? Lust always becomes a hindrance to utilize the impregnated spiritual knowledge. That is the thing. Fine. So one more sloka is there pertaining to lust. Let us complete that also. 340.
इंद्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिरस्याधिष्ठानमुच्यते एतैर्विमोहयत्येष ज्ञानमावृत्य देहिनम्. This lust occupies the sensory organs, mind, and the intelligence of the human being, and thus covers the impregnated spiritual divine knowledge of the entity, and entices him towards the spiritual confusion, the so-called moha.
This lust occupies the sensory organs, mind, and the intelligence of the human being, and thus covers the impregnated spiritual divine knowledge of the entity. The entities and entices him towards the spiritual confusion, the so-called moha.
This lust occupies the sensory organs. This lust occupies the mind and the intelligence of the human being, and thus covers the impregnated spiritual knowledge, becomes a hindrance for us to utilize the explore, express, experience the spiritual knowledge. This lust, about 440. This lust occupies the sensory organs, the mind, and the intelligence of the human being, and thus covers the impregnated spiritual divine knowledge. This lust occupies the sensory organs, mind, and intelligence of the human being. I mean, this lust has grabbed our belongings. Beautiful belongings. What are the beautiful belongings? The grandest sensory organs, the mind and intelligence. Unfortunately, this lust has grabbed our beautiful belongings, the so-called sensory organs, senses, the so-called mind, the so-called brain, now are being loaded with lust. The lust occupies the sensory organs, mind, and intelligence of the human being, and thus covers the impregnated spiritual divine knowledge of that entity. Though we are having knowledge, now it is of no use, because we cannot explore the knowledge, and the lust has become a hindrance. Okay? And entices him towards the spiritual confusion, the so-called moha. This lust entices him towards what? Moha is called as spiritual confusion. I have explained moha not as a confusion, but as a spiritual confusion. Moha can be rightly understood as a spiritual confusion. All the confusions cannot be moha, but a spiritual confusion. What spiritual confusion means? ट्रूथ एज मिथ, मिथ एज ट्रूथ. सत्य को असत मानते हैं, असत को सत्य मानता है. सत्य को असत मानना, असत को सत्य मानना ही मोह है, वो ही स्पिरिचुअल कंफ्यूजन है. दैट्स इट. एंड in the next episode, Lord Sri Krishna has given a beautiful suggestion, which is the way out. How should you deal with this moha? Here, what exactly is the disease? In the 3 more slokas are there, 41, 42, 43. All put together, what is the way out? It is not enough if your disease has been diagnosed. But what is the medicine? What is the prescription? The prescription and the medicine, the divine medicine. The disease is lust. The disease is rajogun. The disease is anger, wrath. The disease is moh. And wait for the next episode. There the grandest, beautiful master teacher has enriched ourselves, has equipped ourselves with a beautiful weapon with which you can ruthlessly destroy the moh, lust, everything. Today also, wait for the next episode. Again with the nail biting suspense. It continues. Namaskar. Jayastu.